The Electoral Commission of South Africa has urged South Africans who want to vote in this year's elections to continue to register at the Commission's offices or on its online platform. Over 500,000 South Africans registered to vote at various voting stations across the country on the second day of the voter registration drive. In a statement, the IEC said yesterday's voter registration got off to a smooth start with 34,293 online registrations recorded. Now, this past weekend, the IEC held its second 2024 Elections Voter Registration Weekend. This follows the first one held in November last year, where over 2.9 million South Africans registered or updated their details on the voters' roll. So currently, 27 million registered South Africans have now made themselves eligible to make their mark. And to give us an update on how the election registration weekend went, we've got the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, Mamabolo, with us. Great to have you, Mr. Mamabolo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Greetings, Leanne, and greetings to your viewers as well.
So the confirmed numbers, what are we looking at after yesterday and Saturday?
Well, we're finalizing those, and we should really be making an announcement as to what the overall registration yield is. But we are positive. It's been a good showing on our part in terms of establishing registration facilities, the knowledge of the staff, their ability to function the voter management devices and so on. So overall, very happy with the performance. In terms of numbers, we are finalizing verifications and related aspects, and we should be able to give the country a feedback soon.
All right, good. So we do know that even if you missed going in and registering physically, you can still do it online, and you are able to do it online until the date of the election is gazetted. And there's a great expectation that the President may, during the State of the Nation address, which is happening this week, he may actually announce the date. Is that what you're thinking as well?
Indeed, I think over the weekend he indicated that it would be soon. So we are all waiting in anticipation. But here's the thing, and you touched on it. The announcement does not close the voters' roll.
Indeed.
What actually closes the voters' roll is the gazetting of the date. So the two could happen at different times. So in the meantime, we urge those that have not registered as yet to use the online facility to enlist themselves so that they too can make a contribution in shaping the economic and political direction of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give us an understanding, is that there is a sense of urgency, and I'm going to make a sense of urgency for South Africans to register, because before you know it, South Africa, time is on you, and then suddenly you realize you haven't registered and you can't vote. So what is the time between the President announcing the date and the gazetting of that date? What do you usually see? Is it a couple of days, perhaps, before it's actually gazetted?
There is no statutory standard in respect of how many days it should be between the announcement and the actual gazetting. Experience tells us that it may be a few days, it may be a week.
Okay.
So really, there is a sense of urgency because we now need to go into a different phase of the election program. I think the registration phase is nearing completion. Yeah. And the next phase is then candidate nomination, certification of the voters' roll, the printing of the ballot paper, and the confirmation of voting stations so that they're published, so that there are no bogus voting stations. Everyone can know which are the official voting stations in these elections.
Indeed. And so there's a lot of work ahead of you, and that's why it's important for South Africans to take their own responsibility. Register. You can still do it online. It is open and it's easy. It's very easy. And I'm thinking that a lot of people are going to utilize that ability. So in between all of this, you've still had to dodge lots of comments that are being made from different political parties, and actually not only political parties, but former presidents of the country. And let's begin with one. I want to just, and I think it's important that we speak to something like this, even though you have addressed the comment, but let's talk about it here. You've gone through a successful registration process. Your goal is to get as many South Africans to vote as possible. However, you have our former president, Jacob Zuma, saying, and I quote from him, speaking at a rally for the party that he's electioneering for, the MK, saying, "Why is there so much secrecy in our voting system, especially the counting that's done behind the scenes? We're going to the election soon, and there are people who believe they'll be rigged. Some have information that the counting system will be changed to benefit a particular party. Where's the truth?" How hard does this make your job? Because you want South Africans to vote, but comments like this from a former president, what does this do for you, and would you like to respond to these kind of comments?
Well, it does complicate an already complex operation, and it's unfortunate because it's not grounded on fact. In fact, in comparison, in benchmarking with other countries, South Africa's results collation process is one of the most transparent in the world. If you go to Electoral Integrity Project, that's why they rank South Africa so high amongst the democracies on the continent. But here are the salient facts that the viewers at home need to be aware of. Firstly, voting happens in front of party agents. In fact, when the ballot box is used at the voting station, it is shown to all party agents to ensure that there is nothing in the box before the commencement of voting. And at the end of the voting process, counting happens at the voting station again in the presence of party agents and observers that are present. A result slip is completed at that voting station without having to move any material. And each party agent is given an opportunity to countersign the result slip to confirm the correctness of the votes attributed to their party. And then the result slip is then moved to the local office of the IEC, where the independent audit industry will confirm that what is captured in the result system is the same as what was received from the voting station. And that auditor will put their own unique audit code in the system, and therefore traceable by name and ID number should there be a problem.
Okay.
Now, in the results operation center, parties can look at the scanned copy of the result slip and compare it with the captured result.
Yeah.
And as soon as that result is audited, it's transmitted to the IEC headquarters and the media simultaneously through an API. So it is not founded on a factual basis.
Yeah.
The fact that results collation is in secret, it is not so.
And I suppose you've also answered another question, which I'm not going to ask you to respond to because we're running out of time, but also the president, speaking about what happened with the ICJ and worrying about that that it was plausible that Israel was committing, that we would find that there'd be a fight back with regard to domestic politics and electoral outcomes in order to pursue regime change. But you have already addressed that, saying this is manual. No one's going to hack systems to try and change results. But we'll talk about this at a later time. On a closing note, very quickly, because we've got to say goodbye in 30 seconds, Sai. Somebody wrote to us and said they did try go online voting. They got a message saying, due to the high number of applications, we're currently experiencing a delay in processing. Please don't reapply. Wait for that SMS. Is everything going to be okay for people that got that message in case they sort of pitch up at the voting station and they're not registered?
Yes, we are indeed. We are resolving those on the back end. And within 24 hours, they should get a confirmation SMS.
Okay, so they should go on, just wait a little bit, give it time. They'll get the confirmation SMS. If they don't, let them go back and check just to make sure that it is while those registrations are still open. Thanks.
Certainly.
It's not the last time.
Thank you,
This is one of many. I know we'll speak again. Sai Mamabolo giving us an update on the 2024 elections registration weekend that was held on Saturday and yesterday as well. They'll give us the full numbers in due course, but I'm sure The elections will be announced this week, but the IEC on full force.
Been waiting for it. But of course, I heeded the call. I made sure those youngsters in my household are registered.
Yeah.
Whether they ultimately use that option is up to them,
It's up
but
to
at
them.
least they are registered.
I made them excited. Yesterday we had a lunch, had my younger eligible voting family there and said, guys, it's exciting. Have you registered? And they're like, yeah, we registered. Why is it exciting? Well, that's a story for another day, but it is exciting.